we had a family that their children weren't baptized. Or, well, it was a mother and she had 6 children. And she was single, and she had been baptized, I think 5 years before then or something, 5 years. And her children hadn't been baptized though, because the fathers weren't going to let them be baptized. And so then she kind of had like a little bit of a, like, oh, the fathers, I think they'll let them. So we started teaching them lessons, because she had I think 3 or 4 of them that were over the age of 8. And so we started teaching them. And then one Sunday, this sister, she had brought a friend to church that was a guy that she had met at this like big fête de Bayonne, which is like this crazy party that they have in the city of Bayonne. And she had met him, and I guess they kind of hit it off, but he wasn't a member of the church. And so she brought him to church, and he shows up at the gospel principles class, the investigators class. And, and he was wearing like a suit and like nice clothes. And so we thought that he was already a member of the church. And so after the class, we like approached him and we're just like, oh, hi, like, so where are you from? And he's like, well, actually, like, I live in Bordeaux, but I'm down here like visiting like on the weekends. And we're like, oh, so do you go to the ward up there? And he was just like, no, like, I'm not a member of the church. And we're like, oh, so are you an investigator to one of the missionaries up there? And he's like, no, I'm not. And we're like, have you ever been to church before? And he's like, this is my first Sunday. And we're like, what? Because during the class he had been, I don't even remember what we were talking about, but he was just like, he was agreeing with the teacher and like saying comments, and the teacher was agreeing with them, like with him. And it was really weird, and in a good way, but we're just like, you've never been taught before? Like, would you like, we're going to be going over to your girlfriend's like house this evening. Like, can we teach you also? And he's just like, yeah, sure. So we went over, and we were just teaching the kids, and he was there. And then after that lesson, we asked him if we could teach him separately, like individually, the lessons. And he was like, yeah, okay, sure, why not? He was just like, why not? Like, maybe I'll be baptized in like a month. Maybe I'll be baptized in like a year. Like, who knows? Maybe I won't be baptized. Like, we'll just see what happens. And we're like, you just said that? Like, because normally you don't talk that much about baptism like you should, but it was just, anyway. So we were talking to him, and he was totally down for us teaching him. So the next Sunday we taught him, and we'd asked him to read the Book of Mormon, and he had told us that he hadn't read it, and he had read it, but he hadn't prayed about it. And we asked him why he hadn't prayed about it, and very sincerely he just said, like, like, Heavenly Father, like, God has given me so much in my life right now. Like, I feel so blessed. Like, he's brought Josie, the member, he's brought Josie into my life, and like, I have a good job, and like, I don't want to pressure God to give me more right now, because like, I just don't want to do that. I don't think it's fair to him. And it was just like, it was such a sweet response. And we're just like, Alex, like, we love you, and we know that like Heavenly Father loves you so much. And the thing is, he wants you to pray about the Book of Mormon. Like, he wants to bless you. And so like, we don't want you to hold that back. Like, he wants to give you these blessings, and Josie is just another part of that. And then we just discussed this with him, and he was like, yeah, okay, like, maybe I'll pray about it. And we were just like, Alex, we promise you that if you don't pray about the Book of Mormon, you will never receive an answer. Like, you'll not know if it's true or not, and you won't be able to progress with it. And I think that seemed to make an impact on him. And we asked him if he'd read it and pray about it again, and he was just like, yeah, okay, maybe I'll do it. we still didn't have like a solid commitment with him, and it kind of bothered us by the end of it, but we're like, okay, like, we can't say anything else. We've already said everything we could have. So we left, and then the next Sunday, we were talking to Josie, and she told us that he was sleeping on their couch like over the weekend or something, and he'd come into her room and woke her up, and he was just like, Josie, like, I did it. I did what the sister missionaries told me. Like, I prayed about the Book of Mormon, and he's like, I want to be baptized. And so the next time we taught him, he was like, so I was talking to the bishop today at church about getting baptized, and he said I needed to talk to the missionaries. And we're like, yeah, yeah, you do. And he ended up getting baptized about a month later. And I visited their family right before I went home. And they're getting married like a few weeks after that. I was barely missing the marriage. They're getting married a few weeks after that. And they're moving into like this house, like all of them together, and they're planning on going to the temple and getting sealed. And it was just an incredible experience seeing how willing he was to change. And he is a Frenchman, and just how like you can't stereotype people and put them into groups, you know. French people will not accept the gospel. Like, you're only going to baptize Africans in France. I don't think that's true at all. I think that the reason why you're called to France is to convert the French, also the Africans, you know, whoever is there that will listen to you. But I think that those people are prepared. There's some of them that are really prepared for the gospel, and they're just ready to hear it.